Everyone. Lovely to be with you and to see you, and Esther, Nathan, Holger, Frank, always driving Frank, Alan, hello Alan, Richard, Mina, hello Lisa, hey Malcolm, George. Lovely to be with you. So welcome. Welcoming our experience as it appears. Relaxing, sinking into being. The freedom of being. Sensations, perceptions, thoughts, all one undifferentiated whole, wholeness. Not trying to improve or change anything. All is well as it is. Sounds in the distance, neighbors' music. How the body-mind resonates, modulates itself with the sound. without any issue. Because there is nothing to protect, nothing to defend, nothing to seek. In this open presence, a dog barking, where is the barking? Where is the sound? Is it not my very being this moment? The intimacy, the mystery. We are this effortless, open, borderless presence. In which everything appears and out of which everything appears. The sensation, the perception. It's all happening in this totality, like a currents within the ocean, indistinguishable from the ocean. The peace of being, the causeless peace, is our true home, the reality of everything. There is no separate entity in this entire realm. That needs to improve itself or attain a certain enlightened state. Everything is available effortlessly, unfolding out of mysterious reality of it all. The manifestation, the source, the spring out of which flows out of which life unfolds. Unfolds as our particular mind, our particular local experience, and unfolds way beyond that. And within us is the seed of understanding. The understanding of the wholeness, of the totality, the indivisibility, the one reality, which is beyond words, beyond mind, beyond any particular expression. And yet it expresses itself as this particular expression right now. Just because you are managing a particular field of experience, just because you're managing a particular body, mind, family, home, various situations that appear to you. It does not mean that you are a limited entity. The body-mind is an event in time and space. But you are not an event in time and space. So invite your sense of being right now to expand, to be free, without locating it anywhere, without pinning it down. Allow this sense of being to contain the entire universe. Without limitation. Without labeling yourself. Without labeling reality, without labeling and limiting consciousness, awareness. You don't need a storyline. You don't need to live as a character within a story, within a narrative. Thinking of yourself as somebody existing in the past and present and future. That you are like formless, formless, formless reality. We say I, but not I an object, not I somebody, I this formless awareness. Invisible to the senses, and yet undeniable. So relax your body, your shoulder, your shoulders, your belly, your being, your entire sensory realm. Free it. From any imaginary obstructions. Allow it to be the vastness of being. You don't need to keep referring to yourself as a person. It's not necessary. You don't need to imagine yourself to be an imaginary character and then get so concerned about the freedom of this imaginary character within your storyline, within the movements of mind. The movements of mind appear effortlessly to you, you being not an object, you being the reality, that which perceives, that which hears right now, whatever that is, the undefined reality. Because you cannot liberate an imaginary character, but you can see through this imagination that you are not what you imagine yourself to be, what you feel yourself to be, what you feel. It's a feeling, a sensation. You're not that. Appears to you. Life is a flow. It's nothing at stake for anyone. There is no no one as a separate subject. Just so lovely to simply be. One could say be together, or being, to be beingness, which already is. I am already is. To sink deeply into that, the sufficiency of being, the fullness of being, lacking nothing, needing nothing, seeking nothing. Because what could ever be outside of being? Nothing. Nothing is outside of being. Being is all containing. Being is, non-being is not. Okay, so if you have any questions, anything that you would like to explore, please go ahead. Hello, Holger.
Hello, Magdi. I don't know how to say this. For some reasons, I had this feeling I could allow just to feel shame and misery in myself without the habit wanting to go out of it. Just being able, for some reasons, I was able or gifted to just sit with it. And it was so amazing because I had this feeling that my whole life I misunderstood my misery, like something I habitually was avoiding, but on another level, it was like bliss itself. I don't know if this makes any sense, but it was just an interesting, it is an interesting gift to feel miserable and to just allow it. And it's so simple and it's so profound on one level.
Well, whenever we are whenever we are not resisting, not arguing, then all is well. Could be a stormy day, sunny day, rainy day. So there is a certain tranquility and peace in just being in the absence of argumentation, absence of resistance, and absence of seeking. A certain sort of welcoming, but not a sort of resignation. Rather, it's a welcoming that has in it an understanding that everything that is appearing is just an expression of the whole, an expression of the totality. I mean, there's also an understanding about shame, for example. We sometimes experience shame. We feel we've done something in the past that we regret doing, or was not very kind or loving, or so there's an understanding that everything we do is done through us. There isn't like an individual doer that is choosing to do A rather than B. It's the choosing thought, the thought that says, I'm going to take the candy from the cookie jar, or take the cookies from the cookie jar. That thought comes to you. It's not, there's no person who is making these choices, so therefore there is no person that should be guilty or so. But of course, there's an understanding that sometimes it's a good idea to ask for the cookie. But, hey, who knows how it unfolds. But anytime we're present, not present as the wholeness, as the not knowing. It's sort of a being not knowing presence. It's the universe that's being present. You know? It's universal presence. No longer appearing with from a certain point of view as a personal self. Rather, presence is, and I'm in tune with that presence. You know, presence and I are intimate. I am this presence. And so that because presence is not like a thinking. I mean, there can be presence to thought, but presence is not an activity. It's not the activity of thinking. Whatever appears in presence is in fact nothing else but presence itself, like a sensation that appears within awareness, or like a certain ripple that appears on the surface of the lake. It's made out of presence itself. So the labeling a certain activity, a certain appearance, a certain perception as a wave is just a label. But the reality of the wave is the lake, is the pond, is the ocean. So the reality of what we label shame or whatever we label is presence. So it's
it just feels like this resistance. There was such a strong resistance, and I called it me. I was this resistance somehow. Something just released. Mm-hmm. There was some kind of release, and it was wonderful. And there's this gratitude, and nothing happened on another level.
Yes. In the hypnotic state, there is an altered field of perception, an altered experience, but it's just a state. It's a state. So, and yeah, it's sort of as if we zoom out of the state and come to understanding, to aha, come to the aha.
Yeah.
And the aha is beyond. It's not a state. It's beyond. So aha, it freezes, like you go through the portal, the aha portal.
And it was so interesting last time when you spoke with George, because there was this thing where George switched between the I, consciousness, and I, the person. And this was really interesting to see this subtle difference.
Yeah. Yes. Anytime that we see we are the seeing. Anytime that we see, at that moment we're disconnected from the object and we are the seeing. Disconnected from the object in terms of the identification. So whenever we see in the moment that I'm adopting a position of being somebody, and you are somebody else. How good am I? Am I good enough? Am I getting better? The seeing is already, it's sufficient just to see that. When you see that, you're no longer that in the grip of the hypnosis, the me, this identity, the identification hypnosis. But so quickly after that, then the thought may appear, oh, wow, okay, so I must be doing better now. Or I'm good now, or what do I do with it now? Very quickly it can quickly flip back into the tendency of identifying with a thought, with a sensation, with something, with anything, you see. But it's okay, because it's a door that swings, you can swing back immediately into, oh, there goes again, you know. So it's not it's no, there is a tendency to confuse feelings, sensations, or mind states with a piece of being. So we want to know what it looks like, what it feels like, so we have a model of, okay, so that's what we need to attain. That's what it looks like, that's what it feels like. But appearances and feelings and sensations, they appear within the spaciousness of awareness. Awareness, presence, beingness, the piece of being doesn't appear as this or that. It's like the perfume of the rose. It doesn't appear, but yet it's there. You know, it's there. It's the perfume of the rose is there, but it's not. Doesn't appear. Okay, one could say yes, it appears as a smell, but I'm using it as a metaphor. Being is already pristine. It's not limited. It's not. It's not a concept. It's our reality, the reality of the one reality. Whatever you want to point to, whatever you point to has a reality. Whether you're pointing to a universe, a thought, an object, a sensation. When we experience ourselves, we're experiencing our reality. When we're experiencing images of ourselves, we're experiencing images which are arising within that reality. When we're experiencing a sensation, we're experiencing our reality as a sensation. When we believe that our reality is a sensation or is defined by the sensation, we are at that moment experiencing reality as a belief. When we experience reality as a belief, we experience a sense of contraction in the field. And this contraction in the field is reality itself appearing as a contraction within itself. When we experience ourselves as a person, a separate person, a separate consciousness, it is that one reality that is choosing to experience itself via this particular body-mind as a separate entity. Which we refer to as mind. So the experience of separation is an experience of mind. It's like the sound of the waterfall or the sound of the stream when you're sitting by the stream. It is simply an appearance, a manifestation, an event. And that event is reality itself eventing, if you can create this verb, eventing. All events are evented by one reality. There is no other eventer. There is no personal eventer or an event that doesn't event itself. It's all evented out of this totality, but not as an actual event, but as a current within the ocean. It's a conceptual event in a way. The current within the ocean is a concept. The ocean is one, is a totality, is the wholeness. The ocean doesn't know of currents or waves. But out of the ocean, there is the narrative of ocean, of waves and currents, and people and worlds and universes and kingdoms. Like in your night dream. So the me reference, is not an accident or a tragedy. It's just a game, the play of consciousness to choose to create a me and a you, while in fact it's remaining as it is. It's remaining as this transparent, aware presence. Via awareness, reality whispers within its creation. It whispers, "Here I am."
Thank you. I'm still struggling with this idea that there is no mistake in God's kingdom.
Well, what would perceive a mistake? What perceives a mistake?
This me,
Well,
this separate,
which is what?
an erroneous.
I mean,
yeah, the mistake itself. No, it's not a mistake. It's just a perspective.
You say? I'm sorry?
It's just a perspective. I mean, it's not.
Well, everything is a perspective. I mean, from a perspective point of view, it's only perspectives.
Yeah.
But what perspective trumps any other perspective? Perspectives are like the movements of the wind, where infinite perspectives, depending on assumptions we make, or so infinite minds, infinite potential perspectives, right?
Yeah.
So the perspective of a mistake in the universe is yes, it's a perspective, it's a point of view. But what's the source of the point of view? It arises within mind, yes?
Yeah.
But is the mind creating the point of view?
No, it's just perceived through this. It's just the instrument.
Yes, it's like a matter that you can emboss a certain imprint on it.
Mm-hmm.
But that imprint arises as mind, or one could say in the mind, but as mind. That's what we refer to as mind, a perception, a point of view, and it's a perspective. It appears as perspective. But what is the source of the perspective? The perspective doesn't create itself.
Yeah.
So, and a perspective doesn't stand apart from the universe. It appears within the universe. It's embedded within the universe. It's like a cloud in the space. The cloud appears within the space. There is the space and the cloud. So the point of view or the perspective, it arises as mind, one could say, but it arises from reality, or else its arising wouldn't have any reality. Whatever the reality of the impression, whatever the reality of the perspective, must be that one reality. So all perspectives refer to their reality, which is not a perspective, because the perspective doesn't create another perspective. The perspective doesn't arise from another perspective. So when you go to reality, when you go up the chain, let's say, you won't find perspective. You will find the creator of all perspectives. You will find the creator, which is not a perspective. So the reality of perspectives is non-perspective. So the reality of the problems in the world is no problems. So the thoughts say, well, this is better than that. This should be like that, that should be like this. The thoughts, if you trace the thoughts to their source, you find the source is not a thought. The thought doesn't create another thought. So the reality of thought is no thought. Mm-hmm. So therefore the substance, the reality of a thought is no thought. So when you look at a thought, it appears, as a separate reality. But when you comprehend that the reality of a thought is no thought, then the reality that thought seemed to have is seen through. It's like a magician. It appears to be pulling rabbits out of a hat, or appears to be cutting the lady, or poking the lady with a sword, or cutting the lady in two. It's from that perspective. But when you go to the design of the magician's act, you will find, no, there is no lady being cut in two. So then you can watch, you can see the magician's act, but there is an understanding. Because you still laugh and giggle, or you still feel, oh wow, that's pretty amazing what the magician is doing. But you're not suffering. And there is nobody being killed. It's not available, the understanding is not available to us when we are strictly at the mind level. When we're strictly at the mind level, then those pink flying elephants, they're real, and we've got to make sure they have a good home, nice friends, etc. The game starts with awareness, consciousness. Playing the game of being within one's mind, to be some reality within one's mind. It says, okay, I'm gonna create that. So the way I'll start the whole game, this is the rule number one. Rule number one, I am born. I am born, so meaning I'm a body mind in one way or the other. And then the multiplicity.
I'm someone.
Huh?
I'm someone.
So I'm someone.
I'm someone.
Someone. If you think about it, because we are all someone, so we're all the one, you know. What's the difference? Someone and someone, yeah, right. Someone. It's okay, we're all someone, you know, someone.
Yeah, yeah.
I know the one part of the sum, you know.
Yeah. Wonderful. Amazing.
Magdi, thank you for a really beautiful meditation. I would like to ask you a question about meditation itself. When I sit in the meditation and I'm welcoming the experience as it is, I can feel almost immediately the resting as presence, as openness, as something which is freer, which is more listening, more loving. But then the thought appears, and I lose it. I become the thinker of thoughts, or the feeler of feelings. And so there is kind of, I wouldn't say conflict, but there's, because it happens so quickly, it feels that still the presence is something to be maintained somehow, because of this fall into thinking of thoughts or feelings or reacting. Mm-hmm. I wonder if you can give me some helping guidance about this transition. Because I would say on the level of understanding, it really speaks to me, the teaching, it really resonates, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's really so important, so everything. But there's this fall into the thinking of thoughts, into the horror of the war that over in Ukraine, and the misery it also causes on a personal level. And yes, so I just would appreciate a bit of guidance.
So whatever image, idea, notion, memory you have of how things should be, whatever notions you have about presence, they are slightly off. So there is being awareness, there is presence, and there is an effect or an impact or a reverberation of presence within the body mind. So the effect of presence onto the body mind is not important. So the effect or the impact of presence onto the body mind is a sort of the manifestation in a way, the expression. And it varies. It is not that which matters. So within presence, both the blue sky and the stormy, thunderous sky appear equally. So presence is neither defined or recognized by the clear blue sky, neither is it defined or recognized by the stormy, thunderous sky. So when you confuse the reverberation or the how presence appears within the body mind, when you confuse that to be presence itself, you objectify yourself and you separate yourself. You become a seeker, of whatever it is, become a seeker of certain impressions. So you need to understand that presence is non-phenomenal, and that it's not a personal experience. It's the reality of being, and the reality of all expressions of its infinite. It's the reality of its infinite expressions. Presence makes no distinctions between sensation A, sensation B, thought A or thought B. And there is understanding. It's the understanding that presence is wholeness. There is no body as a separate individual. There are no separate realities or separate presences within the one presence. So the impression about that my presence is an issue with my presence, or how to hold on to presence, or how to remain as presence or in presence. All of these thoughts refer to a person. They're personal thoughts that are appearing within presence. So presence is arising as a thought, but how am I doing? What's disturbing me? So it's consciousness itself that's creating this thought of what's disturbing me. And the answer to that is nothing is disturbing me. Nothing is disturbing me. Why? Because I understand that there is no personal entity that is disturbable in presence. So rather than in the peace of being, in meditation, simply be the peace without form, without thoughts, without. Invite yourself to comprehend peace in the presence of thought, in the presence of sensation, in the presence of images. So that you come to the understanding that the wide open sky is not disturbed by the clouds. It's not, the wide open sky is not happier because the clouds are absent, and unhappy because the clouds are present. The wide open sky is not happier because a cloud appears in the shape of an angel and another cloud appears in the shape of a dragon. It's not disturbed. And what is it that gets disturbed? In fact, nothing is truly disturbed. Disturbance is an imaginary impression that relates to an imaginary character in the moment. And it's fine. No? It's not a problem. It's not a problem to imagine disturbance. It's the game of consciousness. You don't want to become a crusader to slaughter all impressions of unhappy impressions. You don't want to become on a mission to chase and cure imaginary demons. So in the moment of understanding that you are now in the process of thinking and imagining yourself, you're not disturbed by the thoughts. Imagining yourself to be somebody is disturbed by. The thoughts are not the disturbance. It's the imagining yourself, believing yourself to be disturbable, to be an object, to be a person, disturbable. That creates the impression of disturbance because you adopt that belief that I am disturbable, I am limited, I am separate, I am incomplete, I am lacking the peace, etc. So in meditation, you sink into being, not knowing. Then the mind arises and wants to, now it gets into knowing. It says, oh, now I know that this is what it is like, and that's disturbing me. It goes into knowing. And the first step into the limitation And the contraction, the first step into that is to know something about yourself. Anything that you know about yourself is just a narrative.
Thank you, Magdi. It's very, very helpful. Thank you. It sheds a lot of light for me now.
And whenever possible, it's a good thing also, like when you're going to bed, but also it's possible throughout the day to just take a moment and simply be. Not to experience any particular experience. That would not be being, that would be an activity. To simply be there, as if you're under, you're going under, beneath. When you go to bed and you rest your body, also invite your mind and not to think about anything, but to sink into being. Yeah. You become more and more familiar with being. In your day, throughout the day, not just in meditation, of course, in meditation as well. But again, just it's not about seeking any particular state, okay?
Yes. Yes, thank you very much, Magdi. Very helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Okay, well, thank you all. Lovely to be with you, Holger, Nathan, Walter, Nina, George, Alan, Raul, and my sweetie Tara. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you, Magdi.